If you want to play the game on easy mode, Barbarian is exactly what you're looking for. Running through the content, spamming your Whirlwind, dropping earthquakes behind you, not exploding them because that is bugged, and dealing billions and billions and billions of damage. The only big thing to solve has been the Fury generation that you never run out during a boss fight. This character didn't exist 6 hours ago and is already clearing pit 100 and beyond. How does it work? Which gear breakpoints do you need to meet? Damage versus close, damage while berserking, and how do Witchcraft Powers make this even better? The planner will not only have the endgame build, there's also going to be a leveling section. Now, before we start into the how it works, a shout out to Delcora, who inspired the base of this build. How does it work? The whole damage this build is dealing is coming from the tech rune. Requires 50 offering, invoke the Barbarian's Earthquake, dealing damage to enemies within. How does this scale so obnoxiously high though? That's because of the aspect of the incendiary fissure. Your earthquakes deal another 120% damage and their damage is converted to fire. Together with the groundstorm aspect, which has your earthquakes deal another 120% more damage. Then on top, the executioners, which increases your earthquake damage by 15% for every 100 strength. I am sitting at 3,400 strength. That's not even a lot, and we get a 510% bonus. Finally, with the Bolcathus aspect, you get another 84% to your earthquake damage. That's not everything though, but already leads to billions. It's a little bit like the Blood Wave from the Necromancer right now. Something you can really scale into insanity. Especially that Executioner's aspect. The more strength you have, the more damage you deal. That's generally my favorite aspect style because scaling something like strength is quite easy. Now the real madness we're getting from the Rumble glyph. This one says for every 5 strength we get another 50 plus earthquake damage and we deal 10% more damage to bosses and crowd control enemies for each active earthquake. That's another 50% plus the legendary bonus is 30% more earthquake damage. Not only do we have a plus 1000% earthquake damage, which then gets multiplied up. Now, it's just another 30x down here, plus another 50x. I mean, this aspect alone is another 80 times more damage. And I gotta be honest with you, with all these aspects, you wouldn't even need to use the unique items to boost it further. It's technically unnecessary. That being said though, there is the Mantles of Mountain Fury, which has the chance for Earthquake to deal double damage, and that is what you want as a greater affix. There is also the Hammer of Ancient Explosions. That's bugged though. It's only working in some edge cases, it's not working with every Earthquake, and there's a lot of bugs going on. We have a ginormous threat currently in our content creator Discord. They're trying to fix this. Don't try Hammer of the Ancients right now. It simply doesn't work efficient enough, and there's too many bugs going on. The double damage though is 100% worth it. And we also play the Ugly Bastard helmet because we're running the Wrath of the Berserker, which has us deal another 100% increased fire damage, and well, our earthquakes are dealing fire damage now. And that's times another 100%, and the 520, and the 88, and then yeah, you get the drift. But how do we activate the earthquakes now? And I think the easiest would be to just jump into a pit to show you. There's a couple of ways to activate your earthquake rune. You need to make 50 offering and that as often as possible. Now I am personally using the Igni rune. Stores offering every 0.3 seconds. If I cast a non-basic skill, I gain stored offering. That means if I use my Whirlwind, if I tap my Whirlwind or any of my war cries, every 0.3 seconds, I will make an earthquake. Now you could alternative also use the Bach rune, which says travel 5 meters. But I can faster spam my Whirlwind. Then I can actually travel 5 meters in 0.3 seconds. Now I still take the 5 meters for more critical strike chance. Alternative, you could cast Evade with a triple Evade boot, or you could use Cast 2 Mobility or Macabre skills. And in this case, it would be Lunging Strikes. Yes, Lunging Strike is a mobility skill. This is, by the way, very good for leveling. While pitting, this is definitely a budget solution that works amazing. Now let's jump into that pit 100 so I can just demonstrate how it works. Very important is to never use all your cooldowns at the same point. 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds, because that is already 3 earthquakes. Then I use this and I slowly spam my Whirlwind right now. I'm not holding it down, I'm just spamming my Whirlwind because it's making a earthquake every 0.3 seconds. Then 1 shout, 2 shout, 3 shout, stomp. But again, it's never like press all buttons at the same time, because I can only get the offering every 0.3 seconds. And since I can only get it every 0.3 seconds, you kind of want to press them every 0.3 seconds. It's quite something to get used to, because normally I would just slam cooldowns instead of just like hitting them after another. And now you're just zooming through, really spamming your right click button in my case, because that's the most convenient way. So it's like click, 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 click. And then cooldown, 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 click, 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 click. Have the Wrath of the Berserker on. Just stomp them all to get them together. Now to the boss fight. We're going here. We're just spamming our Earthquake. And if you ever run out of resource, which shouldn't happen because we have a secret tech for that, you can still press your stomp to completely fill that up again. But that being said, you should never run out of resource, as we're running a lucky hit for resource cost restoration, as that is just the most optimal thing to do. Slammed. Done. First the skill points, then the gear. We got our 1 point in Whirlwind and 1 point in Enhanced Whirlwind. You could go for Furious Whirlwind for the bonus bleeding, but we don't really need it. Then 2 more points into Tempered Fury to always have enough Fury. We don't need any of the others, no more Fury Generation or even a lucky hit chance to make vulnerable. We have enemies permanently vulnerable with our Witch Powers. We get the Ground Stomp into the cooldown reduction to really always have the Wrath of the Berserker, together with the damage reductions from elites and the more life. The Rallying Cry is going to make us faster and better resource generation, together with the Challenging Shout for more maximum life. That brings us into the War Cry, together with a Berserking War Cry, and then the Power of the War Cry for more damage. Bonus movement speed, that we can just zoom around with the damage reduction while zerking, and also more Fury generation. Pit Fighter for the damage reduction with a more damage versus injured and healthy, and more critical strike chance because we want 100% critical strike chance. All the points into counteroffensive with an amulet. While you have Fortify, you deal more damage. That's amazing. And then we have Defensive Stance 2, which gives us even more damage reduction and heal. Now the real kicker down here is Heavy Hitter. And over Tempering, we're trying to get as many points as possible in. Every point is another 15% bonus damage for the Earthquakes. Yeah, but that's crazy. 135% again on everything our Earthquakes already do. Together with the critical strike damage with two-handed weapons, and if we use a bludgeoning weapon, even more damage, and we do use a bludgeoning weapon. We're playing Wrath for bonus unstoppable, even more movement speed and Fury generation. And we're boosting our Berserking damage bonus to 100% because we always spam Fury by spamming the Whirlwind. Lastly, the Unconstrained Key passive to increase our Berserking damage bonus. Now to the gear, and here you need to pay very close attention to the damage to close and damage while Berserking. These have certain breakpoints. Ugly Bastard Helmet with that 100% fire damage. Very important is the greater affix on Wrath of the Berserker, that you really always have your Wrath of the Berserker up. Also put 2 strength gems in. We need more strength for that big multiplier on the Executioner's aspect to go bonkers. And as we're talking about more strength, your amulet needs a greater affix to strength percentage. That's 32.2% right now. Amazing. If you masterwork it and could it as often as possible, that's great. We get ranks to counteroffensive, Berserker cooldown, and right now Earthquake size. Plus then the Bolcathas aspect for that 90% bonus damage. Chest piece is the Mantles of Mountain Fury, and that is mostly for the chance for Earthquake to deal double damage. That's it. Nothing else matters at this point. You want that value as high as possible. You want that value greater affixed. Everything else can be a low roll until it's probably fixed, but you really need the Earthquake to deal double damage. On the hands, we're playing Fist of Fate. This has multiple good reasons. First, the critical strike chance greater affix is amazing, dankeschön. And then the lucky hit chance will help immense with our resource cost restoration. Also, that damage randomizer from 1 to 300% just has your tons of Earthquake damage blips go even higher, because it's just brilliant. Use it. For our pans, we could play anything, but we choose the Tacet of the Dawning Sky. It is 34.5% more movement speed. Yes, then maximum elemental resistance, all stats. All stats is fantastic for strength too. And then resistance to all elements. This has me maxed out. That's it. Ta-da. Works wonders. Then on my boots, I'm currently running Fury per second. Yes, because the Fury per second helps a bit to supplement the other stuff we're dealing to never have us run out. With max life, strength, movement speed, and Earthquake size. Lastly, the Dazed aspect For the 22% bonus damage on lucky hit, you have a lot of lucky hit. I wanted to play the Whirlwind pull-in aspect, but it's just not feeling good. Your two-handed weapon should have a greater affix strength, not maximum life, greater affix strength. We're playing a mace here. As I said, we're using the two-handed bludgeoning weapons for the bonus damage, and then up to a 15% chance to restore huge amounts of resource. This helps us to really never run out. Otherwise, in a boss fight, you might spam your resource empty. Sure, you could have the ground stomp to kind of restore it, but it's just way more reliable with this little thing. Then here, we're now getting damage to close. We talked about it. We need to look at damage to close and damage to berserking. And these bonuses need to be at 500% for damage to close and at 450% damage while berserking. Now you can see my damage while berserking is lacking. Still working on it. These bonuses are super important for the Paragon board. We'll get to that in the section. Otherwise, chance for earthquakes to cast twice. There you're just getting more earthquakes. Plus, earthquakes deal bonus damage with the aspect of the earthquakes. Then we get the elements aspect. It's going to go fire, lightning, physical. That's for us. Then it's cold, poison, shadow. That's not for us. Then we have fire, lightning, physical. So every 7 seconds, we have a 30% damage increase. Heavy hitter tempering. Heavy hitter is the ultimate earthquake skill damage aspect with critical strike damage, maximum life, strength. Again, greater affix strength would be good. And then I tempered damage while berserking, as again, we need to get this up to that 450%. Second weapon has the greater affix strength and then a damage bonus. That damage bonus I could reroll into crit damage because I have crit damage multiplier runes with the heavy hitter and damage while berserking. Sadly, I get damage while Wrath of the Zerker is active, which is a nice bonus, but we need that damage while berserking because it translates into a multiplier. Then you're playing the Executioner's aspect, and in this case, more strength is so much more damage. You need to just hog every point of strength you can. Second two-handed weapon is a sword in my case with more crit damage. Strength again, 460. I wanted to have earthquake size, but I got earthquake duration. Then damage to close for that multiplier. And we got the incendiary fissure aspect for that 120% bonus damage. Now for the rings to supplement our resistance, I went for greater affix resistance. That helps together with the pants to really max us out. If I now had also a normal resistance to all elements on the other ring, that would be great. Wrath of the Zerker cooldown, damage to close, and then the Brawler's aspect. Casting an ultimate skill gives us more damage for 8 seconds, and we always cast our ultimate skill every 8 seconds. Fantastic. Instead of maximum life, you could have critical hit chance here because you want that to be as close to 100% as possible. Now my second ring is a complete dud, as you can see here. It's useless. It's a 729 item power ring. Yes, and we're clearing tier 100s. Okay, we want damage while zerking. We also want the Berserker cooldown reduction, plus then the resistance to all elements, strength, and critical hit chance. We have the Bold Chieftain aspect on this one. Whenever you cast a shout skill, active cooldown is reduced. That helps tons. To just have your shouts always active, more cooldowns, to do more earthquakes as well, as that just supplements your spam of the Whirlwind. Expertise is 200x on rank 3. That's not even rank 10. Even more damage to be gained. And as our merc, we got Variana for that super movement speed. You just want to be zooming. We want to get the bonus attack speed and even more attack speed fast as possible. In my case, Rahir and Bastion on the back end, because with Bastion, you could stay even longer on the boss and not take a single point of damage, even when he summons his weird ass things to squash you. Now let's get to the nitty and gritty, the Paragon points. We get the Rumble Glyph. We talked about it, and right now we try to get as much strength as possible. Because every point of strength is the plus 50 damage on earthquakes, and with all our multipliers, even the additive damage is worth it as it all gets multiplied upwards nicely. Then we're going into the Blood Rage board. Killing a bleeding enemy has a chance to grant berserking, and your damage is increased by 10% of your damage while berserking bonus. Now I got 281%, and that leads only to a 28% multiplier. I need to get to that 450. We're playing the Challenger Glyph here, which grants bonus to all normal nodes within range that can boost our strength even further. More strength, more damage multiplier. Moving into the side of the Weapon Master, swapping weapon grants 8% of your maximum fury. You deal 30% increased damage to injured and healthy enemies. Together with the Ire Glyph, which gives us more damage while berserking, but it's not a lot. While berserking, we take reduced damage from elites, and we do more damage to close enemies. As you have enough points, you can put them all into strength over here to get even more damage while berserking to supplement the multiplier forward. But it's minimal. It's just plus 4.7%, and the glyph is currently sitting at level 46. It's minimally worth it. It's better than nothing. Before you do it though, I put all my strength points just over here into the rumble to really get like that bonus up and up to millions and millions and more millions. Then we're moving into the Force of Natures. Your Earthquake have a chance to spawn a Dust Devil every second that deals damage. Doesn't matter. Earthquake damage is increased by 40% of your damage to close bonus up to a maximum of 200%. That's why you want that plus 500 damage to close to end up right here at the 200% bonus. We're playing for this the Martial Glyph, which gives bonus to the magic nodes, and we're reducing cooldowns. That's amazing. That though gives us here damage to close, vastly boost up, that we can later remove the damage to close enemies on a weapon and replace it through damage while berserking. This is plus 115, and if I get the percentage now further, this goes upwards. If I get also enough willpower, it goes upwards again, and we might then be able to just remove it from my weapon because the damage while berserking on a two-handed weapon would instantly get us close to that 500%. Lastly, we're moving into the Decimator board. Each time you make an enemy vulnerable, your damage is increased by 20% for 5 seconds. Overpowering a vulnerable enemy grants an additional 20%. Usually we would play Hammer of the Ancient for those big overpowers, but as I said, the Mantles of the Mountain Fury is bugged, so no Hammer of the Ancients right now. That's not the only reason why we're having this board though, because we get more maximum life, but we also get damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, and everyone is vulnerable around us, plus even more maximum life to really make us sturdy. And as a glyph, we're currently playing Wrath right here, which gives us more critical strike damage. That leads into the critical strike damage bonus multiplier, but skills that critical strike generate 3 fury. Now, I did use this before. Instead of our chance to restore 142.1% primary resource with a lucky hit. At this point, we might be able to kick it out and bring back the Territorial Glyph. Territorial Glyph is quite interesting as it gives us more damage versus close. With that more damage versus close that we're getting here, we might be able more damage reduction, but also to then earlier get the berserking on our weapon to have the other multiplier multiply up. Now that being said, it really feels good with Wrath right now, and I do never run out of resource ever again. Now lastly, the Witch Powers. That is the Aura of Siphoning. This is important because with the Aura of Siphoning and Shaken Soul, we have everyone always vulnerable. Perfection. The aura does also heal us on top. Bonus. Then with Soul Harvest, whenever we use one of our cooldowns, we gain more main stat. More main stat is more earthquake damage. That's more damage in total. With the Hacks of Shattering, we reduce the damage of everyone around us. Fantastic for survival. And with the Aura Specialization, we do more damage. One and done. Lastly, Pionado to pull everyone together every now and then. It is so good. Sadly, I didn't have any points to upgrade it yet to level 5. We're only sitting at level 2. Ladies and gentlemen, could I convince you on the Barbarian this season? It is incredible. Definitely one of the most fun builds I've had so far, next to the Cataclysm Druid and the Bloodwave Necro. Gotta say though, the Bloodwave Necro is more powerful. That being said, the Barb is more fun to play. If you though want to check out the Bloodwave or the Druid, both builds are incredible and easy to pull through in a couple of hours. Enjoy and have a great time.